10 years. That's how long I'd waited for this moment, standing outside the Montgomery Industries headquarters, watching my family arrive for what they thought was a routine shareholders meeting. My mother, still elegant at 65, her silver hair perfectly styled. My father slightly stooped now, but wearing his trademark navy suit. And behind them, my brother James, the golden child, the heir, the liar who'd stolen my life. None of them had aged as much as they should have. I guess money helps with that. My hand instinctively went to the scar on my neck, a permanent reminder of the accident that had supposedly killed me. The accident James had arranged when he discovered Grandpa's original will. "Are you ready, Ms. Montgomery?" Stephen, my lawyer, stood beside me. He'd been Grandpa's lawyer too, the only other person who knew the truth. "I've been ready for 10 years, I replied, straightening my black designer suit. The same brand Mother always wore. She'd be able to tell at a glance how much it cost. "Let's go make some ghosts see a ghost." The security guard's eyes widened as he saw my ID. He'd been working here since I was a child. Miss Rachel." "Hello, George," I smiled. "It's been a while." But what they said wrong. The elevator ride to the top floor was silent. I could feel Stephen watching me, probably wondering if I'd break down. He'd been there through everything, my recovery, the years of building evidence, the careful planning. "Your grandfather would be proud," he said quietly as the elevator doors opened. I doubted that. Grandpa had taught us that family was everything. But he'd also taught us about justice, and today was about justice. The boardroom fell silent as I walked in. 20 faces turned toward me, then froze in shock. Mother's coffee cup slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Father's face went white as paper. And James looked like he'd seen a ghost. Which, according to the death certificate he'd forged, he had. "Rachel," Mother whispered, gripping the table for support. But you're dead?" I finished for her. "Sorry to disappoint, Mother. The accident 10 years ago wasn't quite as fatal as James reported." "This is impossible." James stood up, his handsome face contorted with rage and fear. "You died. I saw the car." He stopped, realizing what he'd said. Father's head snapped toward him. "You saw what?" "He saw what he wanted to see," I said, taking a seat at the head of the table, Grandpa's old chair. Just like he saw his chance when he found Grandpa's original will, the one that left 51% of Montgomery Industries to me. Mother's hands flew to her throat, her tell when she was lying. "What are you talking about? Your grandfather left everything to James. You were always so unreliable. He knew James would protect the company." Actually, Stephen stepped forward, placing a thick folder on the table. Harrison Montgomery left a very different will, and a letter explaining exactly why he left control of the company to Rachel. He began distributing copies of the documents. I watched as 20 pairs of eyes widened at once. "But that's not the best part," I continued, enjoying the way James was starting to sweat. "Grandpa knew someone might try to challenge his decision, so he created a trust fund, a secret one, in my name. And for the past 10 years, while everyone thought I was dead, that trust fund has been buying shares in Montgomery Industries." James collapsed back into his chair. He knew what was coming. As of 9 o'clock this morning, Stephen announced the trust fund controlled by Rachel Montgomery owns 67% of Montgomery Industries shares. The room erupted in chaos. Board members started shouting questions. Mother began crying dramatically. Father just stared at James, decades of trust crumbling before his eyes. But I wasn't done, not even close. "Now," I said, my voice cutting through the noise, "let's talk about the accident James arranged, about the truck driver he paid to run me off the road, about the forged death certificate, and about the $10 million that disappeared from the company accounts that same week." James jumped to his feet. "You can't prove any of that." I smiled, pulling out another folder. "Actually, I can. You see, Grandpa didn't just leave me money. He left me his private investigators, and they've been very, very busy." As Stephen began distributing the evidence, bank records, witness statements, photos, I leaned back in Grandpa's chair. This was just the beginning. The real storm was about to hit. And my dear family had no idea what was coming next. "You killed your sister for money." Father's voice was barely a whisper, but it cut through the boardroom like a knife. "My son tried to murder my daughter." James was still standing, his expensive suit now damp with sweat. Father, she's lying. This is some kind of con. She's not really Rachel. The DNA test results are on page 12. I said calmly, watching the board members flip through their packets, along with the hospital records from Switzerland, where I spent 6 months recovering. Would you like to explain the $10 million that was wired to a Swiss account the day after my accident, James? Mother had stopped crying, her face now a mask of calculation. She'd always been the pragmatic one. Rachel, darling, she tried, her voice honey-sweet. Surely we can discuss this as a family. There's no need to air our private matters in front of the board. Private matters? I laughed, the sound echoing off the mahogany walls. Like how you and James conspired to hide Grandpa's real will. The security footage of you both in his study the night he died is quite interesting, especially the part where you removed documents from his safe. That hit home. Mother's face went from calculated concern to shock. She hadn't known of the cameras Grandpa had installed. Harrison was losing his mind, she said desperately. He wasn't thinking clearly, leaving the company to a 22-year-old girl. A 22-year-old girl with an MBA and 3 years' experience in every department of this company. I corrected her. Unlike James, who spent his time partying and relying on his name. How dare you? James snarled, but Father cut him off. The money, James. Tell me about the money. James's face crumpled. In that moment, he looked like the little boy who used to break things and blame me. Father, I had debts. Gambling debts. Dangerous people were threatening me. When I found Grandpa's will, you decided killing your sister was easier than facing your mistakes, Father finished, his voice dead. Mr. Montgomery, Stephen interrupted smoothly, the police are here to discuss those matters with your son. Right on cue, 2 detectives entered the boardroom. The look of betrayal on James's face as they approached him was almost comical. You can't do this, he shouted as they began reading his rights. I'm a Montgomery. No, I said, standing up. You're a criminal, and criminals go to jail, regardless of their last name. As the detectives led James away, Mother made one last attempt. Rachel, please. He's your brother. Family forgives. Family forgives, I repeated slowly. Like you forgave me for being better qualified than James? Like you forgave Grandpa for seeing my potential? Tell me, Mother, did you even look for my body after the accident? Her silence was answer enough. The board will take a 1-hour recess, I announced. When we return, we'll discuss the company's new direction. Those who were involved in embezzlement or fraud during my brother's leadership might want to use this time to contact their lawyers. The board members fled the room like rats from a sinking ship. Only my parents remained. Father stood up slowly, looking every one of his 70 years. I failed you, he said simply. I failed both of you, by favoring James, by not questioning, by being blind. Yes, I agreed, you did. Can you ever forgive us? Mother asked, but her eyes were on the company documents, not me. I touched the scar on my neck again. Grandpa left me a letter with the trust fund paperwork. He wrote that leadership isn't about power or money, it's about responsibility, about doing what's right, even when it's hard. I picked up a final folder from my briefcase. These are the terms of your retirement, effective immediately. You'll retain your shares and receive pensions, but you'll have no role in company operations. Retirement? Mother's mask finally cracked. You can't force us out. We built this company. No, Grandpa built this company. You just lived off it. I handed them the papers. You have until the end of the day to clear out your offices. Security will assist you. After they left, I stood at the boardroom window, looking out over the city. 10 years ago, I'd stood in the same spot with Grandpa. Business isn't just business, Rachel, he'd said. It's people. Their lives, their futures, their dreams. Never forget that. I hadn't forgotten. The company records showed that under James's leadership, pensions had been cut, workers laid off, safety measures ignored. All to fund his lifestyle and cover his gambling debts. My first act as CEO would be to reverse those decisions. My second would be to establish a foundation in Grandpa's name, providing education and opportunities to employees' children. The Montgomery name would mean something different now, something better. Later that evening, as I sat in Grandpa's old office, my office now, I opened his letter again. The last line still brought tears to my eyes. Remember, my dear Rachel, revenge is a moment, but legacy is forever. Make yours count. I looked at the family photo on the wall, taken 20 years ago, all of us smiling, none of us knowing what lay ahead. Tomorrow, I'd take it down. Tomorrow, a new Montgomery legacy would begin. And this time, it would be built on something stronger than blood ties and broken promises. It would be built on justice, responsibility, and truth. The very things my family had tried to kill along with me.